the girl collapsed to the ground, and the evil spirit she had been suppressing seized the chance to take over Charles's body. Just as Natalie's life hung by a thread, the spirit's body was suddenly engulfed in crimson flames. It was Natalie's grandmother who had intervened. A powerful medium, she had long foreseen the spirit's attempt at a sudden ambush, and had prepared a trap in advance. If the spirit stepped outside the circle, it would immediately be burned by fire. Driving a talisman nail into the circle would instantly form a barrier, while placing it outside would shift the barrier's boundary. Now trapped inside the circle, the spirit was no match for the grandmother. It tried to threaten her, insisting that the body belonged to Charles, but she remained unmoved. Whether spirit or human, anyone who dared to harm her granddaughter was destined to die. When Natalie regained consciousness, the first thing she did was ask about Charles's safety. She learned that he was still alive, but confined in a small hut, and as long as he stayed inside, he would not turn into a monster. Feeling guilty, Natalie rushed to see him, fearing he had already been beaten half to death by her grandmother. But instead, she found Charles calmly eating dinner, and only then did she breathe a sigh of relief. The grandmother, however, assumed her granddaughter had brought home a monster as a boyfriend. Natalie then explained about the curse placed on Charles by the high-speed hag, and admitted that she had also unexpectedly awakened supernatural powers. Her grandmother acknowledged the situation was indeed troublesome. The high-speed hag, also known as the 100-kilometer hag, was not particularly strong in raw power, but she had merged with a earthbound spirit, making her nearly invincible on her own turf. Yet once she left that territory, deprived of the earthbound spirit's support, her strength would drop dramatically. The hag, however, was overconfident in her speed, so the grandmother suggested provoking her with a race, luring her into the grandmother's domain. Although the grandmother's power could not extend beyond her own land, if they could draw the hag in, this race could become their only chance at victory. Meanwhile, Charles was facing an embarrassing problem. He had not relieved himself in a long time, but without Natalie suppressing the curse, he could barely endure it. Helpless, he had no choice but to let Natalie keep watch while he went to the toilet. At that very moment, the high-speed hag suddenly appeared, and time around them seemed to freeze. No matter how Natalie shouted, her grandmother gave no response. It turned out that the hag's curse could also spread to others through Charles. The spirit issued a chilling ultimatum. The two must come to the tunnel that night, or she would use the curse to slaughter everyone nearby. The instant the high-speed hag vanished, the world returned to normal, but Charles and the grandmother were both in a dire state. Natalie hurriedly explained what had just happened. Without delay, her grandmother prepared protective garments to ward off the spirit, and together they set out to confront the high-speed hag.